sounds from the rhythm underground. Welcome to the We Love Guitar Nerds podcast, your place for all things guitar. We have your interviews, we have your lessons, your boomer discussions, and your verbal rabble-rousings. So please hit subscribe, share, and like to join our constantly growing musical community. Guitar Nerds welcomes Gary Schutt from Florida. Were you Tampa?
I'm in Clearwater.
Clearwater is probably thousands of miles from Tampa.
No.
So where is Clearwater?
Clearwater is about 18 miles west of Tampa.
Okay, got it. Okay,
it's very close.
Yeah, so you're lifetime music maker, drummer, bass player, guitar player. We all knew you as a guitar player.
Okay.
All the impossible guitar stuff at Berkeley recitals back in the 80s. So your story is cool. Your story's a cool one. And I didn't know all the instruments you played back. So all I knew you as was a guitar player. So,
that's what a lot of people know me as. But yeah, I actually started on drums.
Yes, that's what I'm finding out. So let's get your whole story. Like, let's take it back to when you were like barely talking.
Who's going to care?
I'm going to care. I want to get your whole story. I want to get it all.
All right.
So you started. What was the first musical stuff you remember?
Drums. My dad was a Catskill Mountain area jazz drummer, so there was a drum set in the house, and that was the first thing that I started to mess with. Mm-hmm. And then when I reached the age of reason, then he started to show me how to play properly. And
so was that like 5 years old or
probably 4 or 5. Like there's an old Christmas card that I have to dig up somewhere. That's me when I was 2. Sitting on Dad's kit with drumsticks like this.
Yes.
When I was a baby, but I didn't start actually playing till probably 4 or 5, and then I took guitar lessons probably at about 6 from. Let me pull this out from a lady who opened up the book and said, "Okay. Teach me, easy.
Skip to my Lou and
yes.
Tell Aunt Rhody.
Yes, all of that stuff, and I was like, "This sucks." I quit.
Yeah,
and then
as you should have.
Yeah. And then Dad started teaching me how to properly hold the sticks and read drum notations and marching and how to and all of that, and then probably about sixth grade, which I don't know the age. My English teacher was a guitar teacher.
All right.
So he actually started teaching me rock stuff and rock chords and the pentatonic licks and stuff. And then 2 years with him, my ear developed enough where I heard stuff that he was teaching me wrong, and we kind of butted heads. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I quit, and I can teach myself stuff now.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened before I went off to Berkeley, where they taught me the real stuff.
So you didn't even you weren't like studying with somebody all the way through high school or nothing.
Only him. Throughout middle school and high school, I had a couple years lessons with him, and then my other friend Steve, who also played, I learned stuff from him.
Okay.
So it was kind of through osmosis through Steve, and
these youngsters these days, they don't know the troubles we went to go to learn stuff. When I say this, you have the internet, you have all these things, you have your YouTube. I'm not downing YouTube, but you have all these things that are making it like, how did Eddie Van Halen tap? Well, if you went to see him live, you could see it, or maybe.
And then you would go, "Oh, that looks so easy," and then you try and you go, "Damn it, I can't do that."
Yeah. So it's like that's why I'm saying it's amazing. It's amazing that you only had kind of one guitar teacher. You were an intuitive person.
Yeah.
Music was your thing. It was your language.
Music was it. I was very short-lived with sports.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I didn't get any of the tablature books either, because the first one that I picked up was the very first music book that had tabs in it, and I remember it had Mental Health by Quiet Riot in tabs.
Yes.
Okay. And my memory is that when I went to learn it, the tab was wrong because my ear was hearing something else.
It often is.
So once from that, then my brain said, well, if the tabs are wrong, why bother learning it from the book when you can just hear it by ear?
Yeah.
So I never trusted tabs after that.
Yeah. Yes, that is even more the case now.
A bit.
Yeah, people are downloading tabs. Anybody can edit a tab.
Right. Okay. And then there's guys that are on YouTube. There's 10 different guys showing you 10 different ways how to play the same song, and they're not all on the same page.
Yeah, but some of them are right. In other words, I agree that there's multiple ways of doing stuff.
True.
But there's also guys that are clearly wrong, and clearly there is no gatekeeper.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, so when you're like you're in sixth grade, who were the first people that you were listening to, taking inspiration from?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember sixth grade and who I was dabbling on my notebook. I remember an early memory of when we were at my dad's parents' house listening to the local rock station, and they played Mean Street on the radio. So the intro, I was like, how is he doing that? I didn't have any visual of how he was doing it. There was no book for it. And then the first time that I saw somebody do it,
he was drumming on his guitar.
Yeah.
He was drumming on his guitar.
Yeah, I was like, how? I couldn't even visualize any possible way of how he was playing that.
Yeah, so Eddie was your first hero.
I think it was Eddie and Randy.
Your gateway drug to guitar.
Probably Eddie first.
Okay.
Eddie first, but I think Randy really woke me up when we were at a camping trip, and there was a local radio station that broadcasted the Ozzy live on the King Biscuit Flower Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that show that played all the concerts and stuff? And I had a tape ready, and I taped that show, and I listened to that tape forever.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Randy era stuff when I played with the Diary Band was a lot of what Randy did live rather than what he did on a record.
And there was a big difference?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I never saw Randy. I got into Randy like the year he died.
Yeah.
But he'd already been dead by the time I found out about him.
Gotcha.
So I didn't know, because I know he like triple tracked every guitar solo.
Right.
In the studio.
Right.
So
live was a whole other thing, because it was just one, and there was him, and his tone was so fat, and he would do the same solos but kind of differently.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're in high school. This is high school year, kind of?
This is high school still, yeah.
Okay. So when did you start playing with people?
In high school.
Okay. What kind of bands were they?
My first cover band, I think, was early high school. We had a girl singer, and I remember thinking to myself, because I didn't want to be that guy to say it out loud, obviously, but I was a better player than the other guys in the band. Like I was a better bass player than the bass player. I was a better drummer than the drummer, even though then I was still kind of learning and figuring stuff out too. But we did, I remember we did like one Go-Go's tune.
You got the beat.
Yeah. We never played out. And then my other band was all guys that were in another school system that was about 40 minutes away. We were called Distorted Personality.
All right.
We had enough songs to play a set, and I think that we did someone's house party, but there's photos of us doing like an outdoor park show somewhere.
And that was a cover band.
That was a cover band, yeah.
Okay. And that was MTV hits or metal band, or
that was probably top 40 rock tunes.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly. Like we did a Cars tune, we did that Money for Nothing tune by Dire Straits, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then this is how you learn through high school. Is you're just studying on all your heroes. You have Randy, you have Eddie Van Halen. Who else were you listening to? Who else should people listen to from your high school years?
Yes.
I say this because your high school years are my high school years.
Probably.
Yeah, we're roughly the same age, so it's like
okay. After Eddie and Randy, then there was George Lynch.
Okay.
Then there was Brad Gillis.
Yep. And
I was like, Mom, I need a Fender Strat so I can go wee 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 wee.
Yeah, with a whammy bar. Yeah.
That was my next thing. My first was actually a Les Paul copy.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I saw Brad, and I was like, I need a tremolo.
Yeah.
George, Brad. That's all I could think of for like the high school guys. And then once
were you opposed to Jake?
I wasn't opposed to Jake. I had the Ultimate Sin home concert video on VHS, and I watched, and I learned some stuff from Jake. You know, yeah. But
it's not like Jake. Like it's not like they kicked Randy out. So so he's a wonderful guitar player. But
and there were some really great songs with Jake, and he had his own way of playing stuff too. And I didn't not like Jake. I did learn some stuff from Jake, but Randy was
giant. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so so you're wanting to go to, was your idea to go to Berkeley to be a performance?
I think it was my idea to go to Berkeley. There was two colleges that I was looking at. I didn't want to go to MI because it was too far. So you're
living in New York. You're living in New York at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Upstate. So it was either Berkeley or this other college called Five Towns.
Okay.
That was like a really small music college that I think was closer to New York City or like on the outskirts of that. But Berkeley was first, and applied to that first, and they said, yeah, we want your money. So that was it.
All right. So, so your memories of Berkeley, you get there.
I get there and my parents leave and I cry. Because I am alone for the first time. There's no cell phone, so I can't text or call my friends. You know, I didn't know anybody there. And then once I composed myself, I went down to the cafeteria and got some lunch and started talking to people, because you have to network now and make some new friends. And I wanted to put a band together, so that was the goal when I got there.
Yeah. Yes, people don't understand this either. It's like back in the day, you used to have a stack of quarters. You have to go through the hall.
Yep.
To the cell phone at the end of the hall.
Yep.
Yep. So those are the hardest of times. So it's Berkeley, you never really did fully jump into the jazz thing. We're talking, what year did you get there?
86.
Okay, so you were a year ahead of me. So
Okay.
86.
I'm older than you.
I think, yeah, I was held back though. So probably, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you are older than me. I don't know. We won't discuss that.
Okay. We
So
won't.
you didn't just go head first into jazz, because that back in the 80s, there were some guys there like Cliff. I remember this Cliff Woodstruck, Cliff
I don't know
Maddox.
that name.
Cliff Maddox was
No.
there.
Yes, that
Yeah,
name
he's
rings a
the guy that
bell.
had he's the guy that had the pink Jackson. Everybody, like, when I got there, he was a rock guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you for jarring that
yeah,
memory.
yeah. So who did you study with?
I don't remember the first guy's name, but my first private teacher was an asshole.
Okay.
He was a full-on jazz guy that hated the rockers. Like when I walked in my first day, my big hair, I had a Kramer pacer that I took purple and blue nail polish and did splats on it. And I walk in with that. And this jazzer spoke in French to me the entire first lesson.
Okay.
French.
Yeah. Okay.
And I
You're
thought
not
that he
being
was
literal.
French.
It was.
Like just completely fucking with me, just spoke French. So the next week I come back and he's speaking English. And I'm like, you asshole. And then I went to the I forget what it's called, the place where you can change up your people that you're
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then I got yeah. And then they switched my private lesson to this was it Mike
My God.
Ide.
Yeah.
Does
My
that
God. Yeah.
name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I took from him. Okay.
Yeah. So what you get from Mike?
What?
What did you learn from Mike?
Chord comping.
Okay. So he was like
And
he was a country guy. He was like kind of rockish. Like
kind of rockish, but
he
I think I have very few memories of my private lessons.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember a small dark room with some lights on the sheet music and us just trying to read, and okay, he's going to play rhythm while I try to solo, and then I'm going to play rhythm while he tries to solo, and just kind of back and forth like that.
So he didn't insist that you become a jazz player.
No.
Okay. See, I always
Not that I recall.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So you're there first as a performance major, then you move over to songwriting.
The songwriting, yeah, because I was hell bent on quitting my third year. I didn't think that the college had more to offer me, and I had a ton of songs, and I really wanted to get a band and get a record deal and just leave and go on tour. I didn't have a band at that point. I had a bunch of songs, and I had a hard time trying to put a band together. And my parents convinced me, just do the last year, get it over with, you'll get the thing, and then you can do whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay, for you guys, I'll finish it out. And then I ended up changing my major because the performance major was just, I thought, performance, I'm gonna perform, let me perform. Performance is a jazz major.
Yeah.
Right.
So you and I did the same thing. It was my last semester there. I switched over to songwriting.
Right.
I took a year off and never went back. Probably the same year you wanted to quit.
Probably.
Yeah. So okay. So your songwriting major. When did you? How much is recording a part of your upbringing? Recording yourself, because you at some point you've because you're multi-instrumentalist. It's like, and you can play this stuff. Like, I'm watching your drumming. You are a drummer. You are a drummer. You're not a guitar player playing. It is drumming. You're a bass player.
No.
Yeah.
I can.
All this.
I can hold. I'm not the greatest at everything that I play, but I can definitely hold my own against some of the best guys in this area and stuff.
Yes.
Recording, I was fortunate enough to be in high school when the first home 4-track was made available, and it was called.
It's either Tascam or Fostex.
It was the Fostex.
Okay.
Yes.
I had the Tascam.
Nice. Okay.
I still have it, so I still have
Oh
it.
yeah.
It doesn't work, but whatever. So okay, so you had your Fostex.
Mm-hmm.
And then how did you start recording on that? Because you're a real drummer, so it's like.
Yeah, I would have the songs in my head, and I'd put one mic in the middle of the room, and I would play the drums first. So I
Okay.
had the bed. Okay.
All right.
Drums first, and then I think I did bass second, and then I would bounce both of those to track 4, and then whatever vocal would be on track 1, and then I would have 2 rhythm guitars on tracks 2 and 3, hard panned.
Yeah.
Because that's how my brain works. It's like, I want to sound like this. I don't want everything to be straight up.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I even
the people that you listen to also had their guitars like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to sound like every band that I
You idolized.
loved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how much recording did you do at Berkeley?
I think I did more in my room than I did at
In the studio. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wrote a lot, so I had the Fostex there, and I would borrow friends of mine that had drum machines. I would borrow their stuff so I can get my idea down.
Yeah.
Or I would take the 4-track and knock on someone's woodshed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna take a break,
Let
me know. I would like to record something on your drums, and so that was
a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing.
You were a pretty serious drummer back then too.
Yeah.
All the way through school, you're dividing your mostly guitar and drums.
Yeah. Okay. Even though before I left for Berkeley, I sold my drums and kind of updated some of my gear. So I didn't have a drum set to practice on when I was there, but it had sticks so that if I had to work out something, I would bang on my bed. Yeah. That's how snare it and just kind of work out stuff in the bed. I did do one recital there on drums. Okay. Eric Breyermeyer. Does that name ring a bell? No. He put on a show of Anthrax tunes and Living Color and maybe like a David Lee Roth tune or Extreme, and I would practice the songs for his show on the bed. Yeah. And then my roommate at that time was Ernie LaRouche. Remember him? I do. Okay. Ernie has been touring with Britney Spears lately. Okay. Yeah. So he's
so many of our classmates are still doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and on a much bigger scale than I am.
Well, whatever.
So and here we are.
Yeah.
So I actually borrowed Ernie's kit to go to band practice with, and then I did the show with his kit, and I have that concert somewhere on VHS. Remember those?
Yes.
Yep.
You and I were part of Zephyr from Hell.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, you were better. You were kicking it. I was the 12-string player.
So nice.
So anyway, all right. So
now what?
You're graduating. Are you're playing in outside bands while at Berkeley, or did you graduate and then start? When did you start joining bands in Boston?
I had a short-lived original band called Palisade that we did one show. I couldn't get any traction on it, and then I was in the Pink for probably about a year before they got a permanent bassist and changed up the singer and started to get big around the area. So after Berkeley, I was still in the area working in a record store for probably about another year or two and didn't have a band.
Mm-hmm.
like I had nothing going on
No
and
prospects.
nothing.
That's a
So
hard city, though.
yeah,
That is a very hard city. In other words, I love Boston. I'd love it. I would love to live there. But there's
mhm,
in our particular case, there's like 600 guitar players in Berkeley.
probably
Something,
at least that.
and that's
And
just in that school.
yeah,
That's not the city of Boston. That's just in that school. All the
right.
that's the kind of
And
competition we're talking about.
right. And they're all monsters, but
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that all of them can write a great song or
right.
they even know the business to keep a band together.
Absolutely. There's all kinds
That's
of
a whole
different.
other thing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of reasons why somebody who only just knows how to shred.
Right.
That's a nice skill. That's a
Yeah.
nice little shiny skill, but it's like there's lots of stuff that actually doesn't really matter that much anymore. That if you can do that, but it's like
Right.
anyway. So you're a bass player. Now, did you do any bass? Did you ever seriously work on bass while you're at Berkeley, or you're just
I don't recall ever seriously working on bass. Bass to me just was kind of like a second nature thing because I knew uh
fretted instruments and that kind of thing?
yeah.
Yeah,
So it just kind of started off as, okay, well, I'll play the root note. And then I started to learn songs and I'm like, okay, the walking bass line. And then I started to learn songs. Well, I actually probably started to write bass lines for my songs before I started to learn actual bass lines
mhm.
because I didn't think it really needed to move around much except for, because rock is mostly
Yeah, root
playing the
notes
root note.
and pedaling and yeah.
Yeah. But when I joined In the Pink, then I focused and listened to what their bass lines were tracked and learned that stuff. And
They were an
that
original
was
band.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first band that I joined that rehearsed, that had gigs, that were doing bigger stages, that was really trying to get out and get signed
Mhm.
and do stuff. So we had a lot of practices, and I had a lot of practice playing and singing for the first time because there was a lot of backing vocals in that band too.
Yeah.
They were very much like a heavier journey.
Yes.
So everybody sang, everybody had a really strong voice, and
S-
I
Steve
learned
who's
how to
the keyboard player was
Steve Ferlazzo,
yeah, so who is he playing with?
Avril Lavigne.
Okay, that's who he's playing with now because he's gone through a
Yeah,
bunch of different people that everybody's
he was he was in the first incarnation of Nuno Betancourt's
yeah,
solo band.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So so in the Pink it's you were as a bass player
Hmm.
and how long did that last?
I think a year or two.
Okay. And what was the end of that? Like, were you leaving Boston or?
I don't exactly remember because I think I was out of the band while I was still living in Boston, and I think it was that I was hired under the pretenses that I was going to be the temp uh,
Okay,
until they found somebody because they knew that I wasn't the bass player.
okay.
I think
And you lasted 2 years that way.
that was it.
That
But we did do a photo shoot, so there are band photo shoots with me in it.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. So when did you leave Boston, and what were the circumstances?
I left Boston in '92, I believe, because I had nothing going on, and I moved back home with my dad,
Okay,
and I tried to teach because back home there's nothing to do. There was a local music store that I used to work at, but as far as gigs, there wasn't really a great talent pool for me to put a band together. So
mhm,
I wasn't playing out there. So I wasn't doing much besides maybe writing stuff. And about a year later, I'm trying to remember who had called me first. Um, so right around the 1992 summer, Jeff Scott Soto was putting a new band together. He left Malmsteen and he did some time with his band called Talisman and another band called Eyes, and he was putting his own band together called Slam. And his drummer was Mark Bistany, who was from Boston, who had some connections at Berkeley still, and he got a hold of John Finn, who was one of my rock teachers there, and John recommended me.
All right.
So Soto called me, and we had a little talk on the phone. I was like, you sang with Yngwie Malmsteen. I'm a fan. I'm trying not to sound like a fanboy, but honored that he's considering me to join his new band. And I sent him a tape of the stuff that I can play and the stuff that I write, and he sent me a tape of their stuff, and I loved it.
All right, wonderful.
I loved it, and I was hoping to get the gig, and I learned everything on their tape, and it sounded like funky Van Halen with a rapper.
Wow.
It was heavy dance, funky rock stuff,
which is kind of like extreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much, but a bit more polished.
Okay.
With big gang vocals, and we had a guy that rapped too.
Okay.
So this was 92. The 80s are starting to die. All of the grunge stuff is starting, and
the new metal.
The new metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots were taking over, and I ended up packing up my car, moving out there, did the audition, got the gig, became real good friends with Jeff, and we did a couple of showcases, and nobody wanted to sign us because nobody was looking for a funky dance 80s metal sounding band with a rapper. We were
in a time of Nevermind was probably around this time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was this was Slam?
This was Slam.
Okay, so did they ever get signed?
They never got signed.
They never got signed. So you were part of his also his solo career in that.
Yes.
So
I was a big.
So you're a big part?
I was a big part of his early solo career, because when Slam folded, me and Jeff were roommates.
Okay.
So when he was writing stuff, Gary, can you come in here and play a bass line? Sure. Come in here and play a lead. Okay.
Was he a guitar player at all? Did he play any guitar? Did he play any guitar?
He did.
Okay.
He is a multi-instrumentalist too, but he's not proficient on anything. He could get his ideas down, and that's it. He didn't shred. His voice is his shred.
Yes, and he's world renowned. Lots of people. Yeah. So okay, so how long were you with him? When did that start picking up? So the solo Jeff stuff happened. How did that transpire?
Jeff recorded his first solo album in the apartment that we lived in, and he got a licensing deal, and that went out. And then, trying to think of the years, because I lived in Los Angeles for a very short time. It was in 94. February of 94 was when the Northridge quake hit.
Okay.
And he was in Sweden when the earthquake hit, doing whatever Talisman album was coming out at that time. So I was in the apartment by myself when all the lights went out, and all the dishes fell, and all the sidewalks cracked, and the place deemed our building unsafe, and we had to move. And I was like, but my roommate's not here. He's out of the country. What do I do? So the plan was, me and his girlfriend at the time were to rent a U-Haul, pack everything in the U-Haul while he was still over there, and drive to Miami with all of the stuff, because his his dad lives in Orlando. Why did we go? No, she had family in Miami, so we went to her family first.
Okay.
And then Jeff was to fly home, then meet up with his dad in Orlando, while I went to New York to hang out with my mom until we figured out what was to happen.
Okay.
Man, you're trying to. You're jogging my brain. It's like I haven't had
story,
to think about
Gary.
this stuff.
This is your. Now you did. How many recordings did you do with Jeff?
A lot.
Yeah.
I got to think. I was definitely on the first one. I co-wrote some stuff and played on the second one. I can't remember the titles. I'd have to see them in front of me, but I co-wrote and helped out probably. I think it was up until the Damage Control album.
Okay.
I think, and then he started to get new guys. He's got the guys in Sao Paulo that are now writing.
Okay.
Co-writing stuff for him, but
you were also in his touring band. Was it as a bass player mostly?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
he had found Howie Simon at a Christmas party, okay. And Howie was more than capable of pulling off the Yngwie stuff, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
So when Jeff was getting the idea of booking solo tours for his solo albums, he called me and said, I'm putting a band together. I found this guy named Howie who shreds. Would you want to be the bass player? And I didn't stop. I was like, yes, I would be happy to be your bass player, because that stuff's not easy either. That was a whole other.
Well, I was Yngwie too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a bunch of Yngwie. We did a bunch of Talisman. We did a bunch of Jeff solo stuff. I think we did 1 or 2 Eyes tunes. We did a
Mr.
I think
Big
we did we did like one of everything that he was a part of. It was like a show of the history of Jeff Scott Soto. We did songs from the Rockstar movie, things like that. Everything.
So I'm watching this video of you playing the Billy Sheehan stuff. Like, well, you did the cover of the Daddy Mama Little Boy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, with Eric Martin.
With Eric Martin. That was a highlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they all know each other. Like these iconic singers. They all just hang out with each other, and
it seems like they're all like instant best friends.
Yeah. Because
they all know who each other is. Like, hey, it's Eric Martin. Hey, it's Jeff Scott Soto, and it's boom. They're just like instant buds.
So how much of this? Okay, so one of the things you're noted for is like really replicating. Like, your ears are great, and it's like replicating stuff from, like, I don't share. I have pretty good ears, but you're like the Ozzy band. The How much of that do you do now?
None.
So what are you
the Ozzy band? Now? The
tribute band ideas.
Wait, one more time.
Tribute band.
I try to stay. I don't want to do the tribute band thing. I have a whole other. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't want to knock the tribute bands because there's so much hard work and money.
Yeah.
With the back
line. In other words, what I'm saying is you were very good at it when you did it.
Thank you.
That was your thing, because back in the day, you were very good at you copy exactly. I'm not that guy.
Right.
Myself. Okay. So I respect that. How do you so back in the day, like, I seen pictures of you with a PV, I guess it was a PV endorsement when you were in the Ozzy. Did you have any auditions for any of these other bigger acts after Jeff Scott Soto?
Not really. I think it was around the 2008 or 2009-ish that I got a call to jump on tour with Boston.
Yes. How does that happen?
That didn't work out.
But how do they even have your phone number?
How that happened was it's all who you know. So what happened was Boston was on tour. One of the guys left the tour and they needed somebody to take his place. And they started reaching out to people that they knew. Who would you recommend? Blah, blah, blah. Who do you know that could take the place? And apparently, I think it was Dave. They got a hold of Dave Meniketti, who got a hold of Jeff, and Jeff recommended me.
Dave Meniketti from Y&T.
Yeah.
Recommended. He calls to, who's the other one?
Soto.
Jeff? Oh, yeah. Jeff. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So if I remember correctly, I think that they reached out to Dave Meniketti to see if he would join, and he couldn't, but he called Soto, and Soto recommended me.
Okay.
And then the next day I got a call from Gary Peel, who is the tall, lanky guy who used to tour with Sammy Hagar back in the 80s, who was in Boston at the time. He was the main dude besides Tom
Schultz.
Tom Schultz.
Yeah.
Who was the main main dude. But Gary Peel was like
the CEO.
Yeah. He was the second guy. So he was my contact. He called me and he told me the deal. He sent me the set list. He sent me live board mixtapes. This is the guy's part you got to learn. And there was 3 days before the tour started back up.
Okay.
And I canceled like months worth of my upcoming shows. I dove into learning stuff, and there was probably 90% of the songs I had never heard before, because anything after third stage I kind of lost. Agreed. But I already knew how to play half of the first album because I was raised on it.
Yeah.
And I sent them a video of me playing stuff and trying to sing. My voice was shot. I remember telling them that here's a sample of what I can do playing your songs and singing your songs, but my voice was shot because I already had a prior week of band and solo shows. So my voice was not representing of what I wanted them to see. And I made sure I wanted them to know that I need a couple of days off before I can do what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And half of that gig was they wanted me to sing lead on 2 of the songs.
Okay.
That I had never heard before.
Okay.
So there was a lot that I would have had to pick up on in 3 days.
Period of time, yeah.
Which I'm a pretty fast learner, but their stuff is very note for note.
Yeah, you got to treat it like it were a classical piece.
Yes, and I would not have been ready in 3 days to jump on tour. Like, we chatted, and
Who was the lead singer at that time?
I don't know.
It's not the original guy.
Nah, he's been dead.
Yeah.
By this point, and I think it was either 1 or 2 tours after they had Michael Sweet doing it.
I can't even fathom that. I never heard this. Michael Sweet.
Yo, really?
Yeah.
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 Look it up. Okay. Michael Sweet did 1 tour as lead singer for Boston.
Wow.
So the plan was they were going to fly me out to Buffalo, and I was going to get on stage and play the songs that I knew. And then as the tour went, I was going to get more and more on stage, the more I felt comfortable with what I was going to try and pick up. And then the night before I was supposed to fly out to Buffalo, Gary calls me and says, "Don't bother coming. We're going to see how it goes without you."
Okay. And
I went, "Boo." Yeah. Rug pulled out from under me. Because I was very excited. I wanted to do this.
Yes.
But I also understood that there's still 5 or 6 other guys left in the band, and that they could have got it covered without me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you did in rebuttal was cool.
You saw that video?
Yeah, that was wonderful. So it will be I'll put that in the description here.
Okay.
This video, but you recorded. I don't even know how many tracks was it. It was just you, all guitar and voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I knocked that out within like a day and a half.
So video is obviously another thing that you're all right with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not a stranger to the video and representing yourself in a lot of different ways. You're learning this I guess you were as a band leader in the Ozzy band and and various other bands that you have, some original, some not. So what are those kinds of skills that you think that you have? We were talking before that we both know people that we went to school with that can Tony McAlpine, and they can do all this kind of stuff, but they don't have those things that, like, for example, you can represent on video and you can put a package together. What other skills do you have that are like that? What do people need to know? What do you think you have going for you in that department?
That's a good question, because everybody can pretty much do their own quality videos now because of the phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can take better looking video on my phone now than I can on the camcorder that I still have.
Okay. So what did you do? How did you do the Boston video?
That was shot on a camcorder.
Okay.
Up in my studio room, when I had the black velvet blanket up.
Okay.
Still. Yeah. That was shot here at the house. And
okay.
My recording studio is an older Pro Tools rack off of a MacBook Pro, which was about 10 feet in front of me. So I'm playing here, the camera's here, and that's all there. So I would just play and record, and everything's going live. And then I would play that back, do all the overdubs, and then take it over to the bigger Mac, which was over in this corner of the same room, and just sync it and chop it all up.
That is just, I'm envious of that kind of skill. I'm not real great with it. I'm just, when I saw that, it's like the putting all that, and that's kind of like a pandemic skill too. You see lots of people doing that. Yeah. A lot of people have been doing that since the pandemic, but your original stuff, you do a bunch of songwriting. You were a songwriting major, but you, even before going to Berkeley, you'd done a bunch of songwriting.
Before that, I knew how to write a song.
Yeah. How did you, how you had your own way or what? You just
I just knew, okay, intro, verse, chorus, solo, bridge. You know, I just kind of knew the format, and I seem to have a natural thing without even trying to come up with a hook.
Yeah.
It's weird, especially since the pandemic happened. Like I never wrote so many songs in one time frame in my life. I usually come up with an idea, I have a day off, and then I kind of have to fuck with it. But about a month in to the pandemic, when everything was shut down, I posted on my social media sites that I was going to challenge myself and write an album of brand new songs in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. Just like from scratch. Like I didn't go through my library of ideas of riffs.
Yes.
And I finished an album in 3 weeks.
How hard was it?
It wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
It was just weird. But that first album has got some of the most different and weirdest stuff that I've ever written, because I finished the first idea that came to me. There was not one that I started that I was like, nah, this sucks. I scrapped it. Everything that I wrote on that album was the first idea that came to me at that time. And I would write like a song a day, and then it would take me 2 or 3 more days to fix the mixing, fix the vocals, add little things.
And you do the whole thing when you're doing the whole thing, like drums. You're not just drum machining.
That's all drum machine.
That's all drum machine. Okay.
Yes.
Can you do drums in your setup right now?
In my house now.
Yeah. Nor I. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even going to try because it's
Yeah.
if I can get everything else together,
Uh,
I'm all right with that, and I'll take the rest to the studio if I need to. But
exactly.
so what album is it? What out is that? Did you release an album?
Yes, that one was called. I have it over there. That one's called Nightmares, Bad Dreams, and Other Alternate Realities.
Now, where can we find this?
That is all over the place. You can go to GarySchutt.com, and that will have links to Bandcamp, and then you can also stream it on every
So
streaming thing.
you can find Gary Schutt music on Spotify.
Yes.
And you not get paid, but people can listen to it.
Hey.
Yes.
Last week I got a royalty check for $1.07.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good for what I hear. Like Peter Frampton made $37 or something like that.
Yeah.
On a billion
I know. It's crazy.
So what have you been doing in the last many years, like last say 5 years? What's everything leading up to?
Nothing.
Everything
is
leading up to me. Your band? How about your band?
I technically don't have my own band at the moment. I'm playing in like 3 or 4 other cover bands. I do a solo act. I joined this other original band called Mr. Bella that does shows once in a while. So I don't have my own band.
Okay.
At the moment.
You're in Clearwater, so what is the music scene like there?
Music scene is happening for cover bands and acoustic guys that play Jimmy Buffett songs on the beach.
Okay.
There's tons of work for that.
Okay. So how does that how do you work with that? I can't imagine you Jimmy Buffetting.
I don't.
Yes.
All of these places that do book those bands that want something different and a bit more high energy than they call me, because my solo act is all backing tracks, which I make from scratch. They sound like my albums, and I play everything on them, and I'm up to 400 songs now.
Okay.
And I'll go out and do a high energy show and do everything from 70s disco tunes to 80s pop to 90s alternative to Shut Up and Dance or or Megadeth.
So that's wonderful. That back to back.
Yeah.
Back to back. So how important was it to be a vocalist?
I did it out of necessity.
Okay.
I never wanted to be a vocalist. Let's go back to high school.
Right.
Okay. Where I was the only one in my class that I knew that could do everything well. Like I knew drummers, I knew bass players, I knew lead guys, I knew people that could sing, but I was better than all of them. I always hate to say that.
You don't hate to say it because it is true.
Yeah, and when we're talking about high school in those early years too, it's like people are still learning and finding about what they're capable of. So I was writing these songs.
6th grade, so yeah.
Yeah.
And it's your natural language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was writing these songs, and I needed to sing them, because even if I were to have somebody else sing on the demo, I would still have to sing it so that they would have to learn it to sing it on the demo. So I have tons and tons of tapes of my early songs with me singing really bad, because of course I was really bad at first, and then it just over the years is
that's the learning trajectory.
Yes.
You suck first.
Yes.
At least we do. We suck first, and it gets better and it gets better and it gets better. Hopefully.
Even the greatest talents, even the Vi sucked at first.
Yeah. So that's the natural learning thing. That's the natural learning thing. Well, thank you, Gary. Anything else?
Thank you, Rob.
We can get you check out your music at well, Bandcamp. You're on Bandcamp.
Yep.
Gary
Mhm.
Schutt. SCHUTT.com.
You got it right. Yes.
.com.
.com.
You're on all the streaming platforms, but you can also support Gary through
Yes.
Bandcamp. Is that where your music is being sold?
Bandcamp is the only place currently that has the physical CDs for sale.
Okay.
Ev- Everything else is either streaming or download. And speaking of which, my recent album goes on the streaming channels tomorrow.
Okay. So which one
And
is
that one is
this?
called The Beautiful Darkness.
Okay.
Goes out streaming tomorrow.
Okay, so you are doing what are you doing? What are you doing now? Nothing. The hell?
Nothing. Nothing.
Oh, did I mention I'm releasing an album tomorrow?
Well, this album has been out for two months, as far as you can buy it for physical. Like,
Okay.
it's out, but it's going out on streaming tomorrow. So
Okay,
this
it.
has been out.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So anyway, and I will post in this description some videos for your other stuff. I love the your Bohemian Rhapsody take before.
Thank you.
That was before the movie came out.
That was way before the movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What you did with it was cool.
Thank you.
What was so anyway? So thank you. We love Guitar Nerds. This is Gary Schutt. Check him out. Check him out. Check him out. See you, Gary. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rod.